Hi, everybody. This is Gaynor Meilke with Charisma Inc. And this is Moving the Needle, the digital transformation in accounting channel YouTube series. And I'm here with my co-host, John Higgins. Hi, John.
Hello, Gaynor, and Happy New Year. Looking forward to getting the new year started with some interesting podcasts here.
Yeah, and we're honored to have Michelle Weinstein on today because she's the abundant accountant. And I've known Michelle for a number of years now, and
Mhm.
I think John and Michelle just met, so we've got a lot to talk about what Michelle's doing in the accounting channel, and then how it relates to really the transformation of the profession too.
Yes.
So, Michelle, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, as you said, you've got the real deal microphone and
Yeah, I got the real deal
headphone.
microphone. I was like, oh, okay, we're going to do a podcast. Let me get my podcast stuff out
That's
since I
right.
have a podcast, the Abundant Accountant podcast. And
Yeah.
you've been on a couple times, I think once or twice now.
Yeah, it's awesome. And maybe we'll have to get John on sometime too. So
Yes.
we can do
That's
a
that would be
cross,
fun.
yeah, cross pod. So tell us about the Abundant Accountant for those people who don't know you. I think a lot of people do know you, and you've helped a lot of practitioners. So what do you do at the Abundant
So
Accountant?
basically, we do sales coaching. And for everyone that doesn't know what sales is for your firm, it's how to get the fees that you want to get paid, how to overcome any objection, how to create a life of abundance, how to not feel overworked and underpaid and underappreciated by your clients, but have boundaries in place that give you the life and the freedom and the money to do the business and the firm that you created, that you've dreamt of when you said, I'm going to start my business instead of have a corporate job. So,
Hmm.
after about 2 decades of experience in finance, in entrepreneurship, and sales, I basically created a proven sales formula that's helped firm owners not only double their fees with current clients, but also new clients, like start off from a fee base where they are doing 2 or 3 times what they thought was possible to charge. They're getting paid up front. They're not giving away their time and expertise for free anymore. And I'm really on a mission to end the grind of the overworking and under earning disease that this industry has so that firm owners can stop feeling overworked, stop feeling underpaid, stop being frustrated by clients who don't get you documents in time and don't follow the things that you want done in your firm. And so that's when I started the Abundant Accountant in 2018. And I
Wow.
really focus on having firm owners have a successful practice with premium clients that they truly love, who are happy to pay for their value. They're completely emotionally detached from the outcome when they're meeting with a client, which means that if they engage their firm, awesome. And if they don't and they have to say no, then they feel good about that too. And ultimately guiding their prospects down a path where they can make a decision that they feel really good about. And really, the sales process is the nucleus of any firm. And
Yeah,
that's what I teach.
that's true because if you don't have sales, then you can't do all the other parts of the business, and
Yeah.
you're always going to be crunched for cash flow.
Yes.
So I know I've worked with a few of your clients and just helping them like on the structural part of their
Hmm.
businesses. So how do you approach that in the sales training? Because obviously, like becoming detached from the outcome means that you feel confident kind of
Right.
in all parts of the business.
I always tell firm owners, I would say that's probably the number one thing. I have over probably 400 testimonials on my website because I teach a process on how to get testimonials. So every client that wants to give me one, we do one. And if you watch any of them, there's a consistent thing in all of them, and it's confidence. I just did one about a couple hours ago before we hopped on this, and she said she finally got the courage to charge what she's always wanted to charge.
Mhm.
And she never had revenue in the fourth quarter every year. And now she has more money in her bank account starting the new year than ever. She was able to go to Brazil and go on vacation and not worry about anything. She stopped the bleeding in the firm. I would say most firms have a lot of bleeding going on from doing free work, answering quick questions, having scope creep, you name it. And she said she had about $20,000 of undercharging and just doing a bunch of free stuff for clients that she never charged for that came to an end. And then she also had clients pay up front. So in the video we just did, she charged a client $30,000 for a year of service. They paid 100% up front. On all of her monthly clients, she sent out a price increase letter. She increased the fees on all those engagements that total about $15,000. And she now doesn't have that attachment to the stress of selling. And
Hmm.
that's what I mean. When we have abundance, we're not attached to those outcomes anymore. We become detached
Which is great. And then you can also use that money, obviously, to reinvest in
in the
the
business.
firm
Yeah.
as
Or
well.
pay for, I've had a lot of clients be able to pay for softwares, not have to worry about payrolls, not have to tap into line of credit. There's a
Hmm.
lot of things because many firm owners waste a lot of money by having to borrow just to keep cash afloat. And oh, it was so beautiful. I don't remember the exact words she said, but oh, I'll hear it. Let me pull it up because it was so good. She said, she would manage her own client or her client's money, but she never managed her money.
Yeah.
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 And I hear that quite often from many firm owners. And yeah, she goes, I was trying to take care of their money without worrying about my own. And over the past 3 years, I lost more than 20,000 because of that. So every
That's
time a client had asked for extra, she did, extra things they needed, she did it. And she knew that she was bleeding money. And now she finally focuses on her money. That's more important than her client's money.
right. And that's 1,000% like what I see too, is that so many accountants, they're like the greatest business owners for
Yes.
other people, right?
Yes.
So
But
it's
not
like
themselves.
not themselves. And I would also say that's the same process wise because it's easy to look at somebody else's business and be
Mm-hmm.
diagnostic with it, but it's really hard to look at
Mm-hmm.
your own. So you help people pull the lens back and be able to
Yep.
see what they need to do. So
Yeah, I
we have
say
to.
like we help firm owners hold up a mirror for themselves to look at themselves in the mirror. Because I
Hmm.
think we don't realize it, right? Like with my client, that was Melina, who I just did this with. She's like, I knew something was wrong, but I just didn't know what's wrong. And I think you think you're really smart, which you all are. You all have this great technical knowledge. And I think she said to me, I had to get out of my own way. I had to
Hmm.
allow the help to come in order to see the change because so many times she's like, well, I'm smart enough. I should know what to do. I'm an accountant, right? She focuses on tax, accounting, bookkeeping, and tax resolution. I'm smart enough. I should know how to do this. And it's like, but once she said, okay, I have to just she said, I'm really good at the technical side, but in school, I never learned sales. I never understood that owning a business. And what I said to her is, you signed up for a 24/7 sales career, but you just didn't know it and you don't know what to do. And it's not your fault. It's just you haven't been taught that element of your business. And sales comprises of so many things. It's everything on how you qualify your clients, how you hold up the boundaries, what are you including in your engagement letters, what are you not, your prices, how to value price your services. Are you going to do a subscription model? Are you not? Deadlines and due dates and late fees and rush fees and VIP fees and emergency fees. Like all of these things encompass sales along with the things I talked about earlier, which is handling objections, how to have the enrollment conversation, how to have a follow up process, how to say a good elevator pitch, how to know what keeps your clients up at night so you know how to communicate that. What are you putting on your website? What are you not? All of that is part of your sales process. And I don't think many firm owners ever realize that.
No, no, they don't. And they don't put it all together either. They might have pieces and parts of it,
Parts of it. Yeah.
but not all of it.
But it's like
So,
baking a cake. You can't put a cake in the oven if you don't really have eggs and sugar. It's not going to come out very good, right? Like you can't have a full bank account and have the time and freedom that you want because you own your own business if you don't have all the ingredients in order.
right. Mm.
So, Michelle, it's obviously, I think, a pretty noble mission that your business is on to help the
Yes.
CPAs. And it was interesting when you started talking about sales coaching. I was expecting to go in a little bit different direction and be
What
more
did you
about,
expect?
Well, I was expecting you would be talking more about how to, get leads and to close the leads, which is,
Yeah,
important. But I think
we do the closing of the leads, but getting the leads, and this is I think another really important topic that I'm glad you brought up, is called marketing. That's just getting someone interested in your services, but we can't
Mhm.
get anyone interested until we learn how to close. Otherwise, you're going to be like my client Jessica, who I met, who got a lot of leads from Facebook, did a lot of organic marketing. She was
Mhm.
spending 20, 30 hours a week doing marketing, getting leads, had a lot of sales appointments, and closed a whopping zero. She
Yeah.
missed out on about $30,000 of potential revenue just from these monthly clients because she didn't know how to enroll. She didn't have a qualification process. She didn't have all those things I just rattled off, and that's the closing process.
Hmm.
So until we can go and confidently close and practice with local businesses and other things, we don't want to even waste our time on marketing because if you get a lead and you don't know what to do with it, you're just putting money down a drain, and then more
yeah.
money goes down the drain, right? So they go hand in hand, but they're completely separate. So the only thing here at the Abundant Accountant we focus on is closing leads that you get, is closing referrals that you get, closing people that found you on your website or your Yelp account or your Google review,
Hmm.
or what I teach is just go to your local businesses and practice with them or your family, and then go invest in marketing, be it paid ads, Facebook ads, Google ads, SEO, organic Facebook marketing. Like there's a whole slew of ways to get leads.
Hmm. So do
But
you have a system for automating the process? Like
for
that,
sales,
yeah, for sales that you've found like maybe some of the
some of
clients are
it, yeah,
utilizing?
depending on if, they use Canopy, if they use Textome, some people might use some tools like Ignition or Anchor. There's some pieces that can be semi-automated, but
Hmm.
everything I teach has nothing to do with automation. It's 100% relationship-based selling. It's how do
Hmm.
you communicate to people? Could you automate the application process and the qualification? Yes. Can you automate how to have an enrollment conversation? Nope, sorry. An AI is not going to be able to help you.
Right.
You
And I'm
know,
glad,
you can
yeah.
practice with ChatGPT and you can have a practice session, but AI and ChatGPT and any other AI tool is not going to be in a sales meeting with you. This is the one area that cannot, I don't think in our lifetime, be replaced by, um, an AI tool. It's just
When
not going to happen. Can you automate some of your follow up? Yes, and I show them how to do that. But the more
Mhm.
customized your messages are in follow up, the better. So you can maybe schedule out emails and different ways to follow up. But if you do blanket follow up, it's not going to resonate with that sales meeting that you just had. And I did, oh gosh, what was it? Oh, a podcast yesterday with my client Rachel. And she goes, Michelle, because you taught me your follow up, I landed a $50,000 client. I sent a custom thank you card. She handwritten it,
Mhm.
hand wrote it. And she told me yesterday it was because of her follow up that she set up after the sales meeting because they didn't engage her firm right away. It was in the follow up. She said 8 weeks later, they called me and engaged my firm. $50,000 paid up front. I'm like, beautiful.
Yeah.
So, what I teach is really simple, but it's not systems oriented. It's not technical. It's not automated. It's very thoughtful, simple, easy if executed.
Yeah. And I think what you just said about AI, and there's a juxtaposition, especially in the accounting profession with this, because
Mm-hmm.
we want to automate as much as we can with the workflows,
And I think you
but
can with the workflow, but sales process workflow
right.
is a little different than
Yeah.
getting the bookkeeping done workflow or getting the tax
Yeah.
plan done workflow.
And that's what I was going to say is that really the saving grace for accountants is the trust that they build
Yes.
with prospects like throughout the process and their clients because especially like with the proliferation of AI now, people are actually turning away from that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And with the accounting profession, it's like the ideal place to have personal conversations with people
Yes.
at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. It's all all true. And I call it the know, like, and trust factor, which is all built in a sales conversation that starts with
Yeah.
building rapport. That's your foundation. I like to think of it like a house, right? Like I bought a really expensive fixer upper. Within a couple weeks, we had to redo the whole foundation because the foundation that they had for this house was not good enough to sustain the square footage that they expanded this house to.
Mm,
And when we look at our firms, it's not any different. If you're talking about having 50, $100,000 value clients on an annual basis, you need to have a foundation of relationship with that client that matches that value. And if you don't, and this is why I would say most firm owners are undercharging and they keep giving away free advice and all the other stuff, is because they haven't figured out their value. They haven't figured out the know, like, and trust factor enough. Everything's just been about a price conversation. And if the price just doesn't align, then they do things for free.
mm.
Yeah.
Oh, can't hear you, John. Oh, we're losing you.
How's that? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's
Sorry.
better.
Yeah, my microphone came unplugged.
Uh,
Yeah, so I was just wanted to make the point that in the earlier part of our conversation, you were talking about how you help your clients to really understand their true value
Yes.
in the services they provide, and to me, that's a lot more important and valuable to them than the lead generation, the marketing part of it, because so many firms I know, they feel like they already have too much work, and
Yeah.
so to the extent they can get more done, or get more value out of what they're already doing, that's
It's
how
the
they're going to get their
easiest
abundance.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's so many more services you can provide to a current client,
mm,
but when you're overworked and underpaid and continuing to give away free advice and answer quick questions and have all those problems, it's like you said, John, like these firm owners, they're not alone. Every
Yeah.
single firm is dealing with the same challenge, but if you can figure out how to shed 30 to 40, 60% of your clients, like my client Natasha is doing right now, she she's got people that are going on a waiting list. And we're going to charge $1,000 per person that wants to commit to her for 2026 for whatever service, accounting, bookkeeping, tax. She's got a whole slew. And those people that sign up for the waiting list and get on her calendar, those are committed people. Everyone else, now she doesn't even need to waste time with.
Yeah.
So
mhm.
not only do we have the qualification process with her in place, but we actually implemented a waiting list. So for people that have too much work and too many people coming to you, um, that's one of the best things that you can implement. And I think the thing also, John, is that so many firm owners, like I said earlier, have great technical skills, but
Right.
zero structure around sales, how to run the firm from the top line, right? Because top line revenue drives everything.
So do you have a particular benchmark or two that you like to use with your clients to measure the success of the whole transformation?
We typically will look at the amount of money gained. So let's say a firm, uh, one of my clients, I'm just thinking of everyone that I've done testimonials with in the last week, pretty much. Janita, she said she has created the same revenue in her firm in just the last 90 days that she did in her corporate salary last year, which was 240 grand, just by
Wow.
implementing everything she learned from me. That is a metric that I look at. So I look at the total amount of gain revenue from before you started working with the Abundant Accountant or, inside our 8-week sales mastery course to where you're at today.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
that makes a
just
lot of
like
sense.
that one I did earlier, a couple hours ago, her gain just on her monthly clients, because she did not send out her communication yet to her tax prep. So just on her monthly clients and then her one big client for resolution, her gain was $45,000 in just the last 8 weeks. And she
That's
hasn't
awesome.
even sent out one letter to all her tax clients. So that'll probably generate an additional, 15, 20 grand. But my hope is that it frees her up with a lot of time to go focus on travel or whatever. So she doesn't have to have as many clients, but maybe do the same revenue. So
Mhm.
John, every client I've worked with, firm owner, has some different goals. Like some people love the revenue they're at, they just want to do it with half the amount of work. That's a different metric than we're going to look
Yeah.
at for someone like Jessica. who spent a lot of time having all these leads. And it was like, okay, how do we close these? How do we get to a close
Mhm.
rate of 30 or 50%, but at the fees that you want? Because when people tell me, John, hey, I'm closing, I know how to sell. I close 80, 100%. I'm like, well, you're too cheap. You're leaving a ton of money on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that's what you're doing, you're leaving thousands of dollars on the table every month.
Right.
And really what we do here at the Abundant Accountant is we really shift people from giving away their time to not only commanding their value, but doing it in a way that feels really good without being sleazy, without being pushy, without being aggressive. But they create their whole sales process in 8 weeks in their own words, not AI, not ChatGPT. This is just them executing and doing it. So
Hmm.
they know the exact words to say in a sales meeting, just like Jessica did. And they never have to freeze up again. Or a lot of firm owners tell me like their stomach feels a little, ugh, because they don't know what to say.
Yeah. And this can be sort of the missing piece for a lot of firms. It's, you can focus on like all of the process
Yeah.
and the automation. And I think a lot of firms are very comfortable there
Hmm.
too. But then when it comes to actually like filling the pipeline and keeping it that way and feeling confident in your own story, it
Yes.
that can be a challenge as well. I mean, is that something
Yeah.
that you see, John? Like that firms they're a lot more receptive to talking about like the actual nuts and bolts technology. Like
Yes.
that's a space that they are more familiar with, and then you start getting into some of these other areas, and it's like, oh my goodness.
I would say, Gaynor, half
Yeah.
the clients I work with are way more comfortable talking about their tech stack, their pricing menus that they thought were going to work, but they didn't understand why, their PowerPoints they made for sales meetings and wondering why the people aren't saying yes to them.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my clients, Tim, he was at a breaking point actually when we first met. And his wife said, if you don't figure this out in the next couple months, you need to get a job, corporate job. And he's still working with me today. He is not in a corporate job, and his wife is very pleased with his results. And
Well, that's good motivation.
he doubled his revenue. Yeah,
Wow.
but he's the guy that had the tech stack. He goes, I literally, he said, Michelle, I wasted a year trying to figure this all out with tech and automation. I'm like, yeah, nothing of what you do for sales and making money is tech and
Yeah.
automation. Not in this business. If we had a Shopify account, we had an online product, a software business, that's different. We have a selling to human business. It's very different. And it goes
Mm-hmm.
back to Gaynor, what you were talking about, which is having that know, like, and trust factor and that foundation of a relationship with a prospect and a current client.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important that you're, making that message, loud and clear about the human aspect of it, because there's so much talk about technology. Of course, a lot of what we do with moving the needle is, how to automate and so on, but that
Yeah,
personal interaction is the key for sure.
it's
Yeah.
the key.
Yeah.
I think
And
there's place for automation and what
of
you
course.
guys do
Sure.
with
Yeah.
moving the needle, 100%. But to make money, to pay for the automation and to pay to get the automation automated for you so you don't have to waste the time doing it, it all drives from your top line revenue. We
Yeah.
Yeah.
work pretty closely with Profit First. And I always tell Mike McAllowitz, well, there's no profit first in paying yourself if you can't sell because there's no top line revenue. So,
Right.
how are you going to have all your bank accounts and pay yourself first if you have no money coming in the door? So,
Right.
sales is the number one skill that I believe is the most overlooked. And I think also just you just don't know what you don't know. And so many firm owners just don't know that, oh, that is the skill that I need.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what it was called. I think a lot of people just think, oh, it's marketing. No, we don't do marketing here. This is 100% closing, converting conversations into dollars in your bank account.
Yeah. And I would say just to tie it back to tech too is once you close them, giving them a good experience, making
Mm-hmm.
it easy to work with your firm, then those referrals come back to you
Yeah.
as well because you can
Yep.
make a great first impression with the sales aspect of it, but that needs to be carried through the whole firm. So,
Yes.
it just comes back to running an accounting firm is running a business and it's not easy.
It's
until you
simple.
know
It's
the
just
right
not
way
easy.
to do it.
Yeah, you just need the right formula and the
Yeah.
right words to say and how to do all that, you know? And I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
if you don't have those in place, you sometimes get in this exhausting cycle of undercharging or discounting. I've had firm owner like this one woman, Lissa, when I met her on her P&L, it said $30,000 in discounts for a bookkeeping firm. And she's like, this is just the way I thought I should get clients. I discount them. And now you're
Mhm.
like training your clients like you're the dollar store, right?
Yeah.
And then
Right.
she was overworked and giving away her expertise away for free. And now training everyone to ask, oh, well, do I get a discount this year? I've been with you even longer. It's like the
Yeah.
longer you be with someone, why are you getting a discount? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I would say, most coaching programs out there probably focus just solely on marketing tactics and technical skills, which are all
Yeah.
important. But I concentrate on that one thing that actually drives top line growth, which is revenue, closing deals.
Awesome. Well, good. I'm glad that we had the chance to talk to you because I think it's getting towards busy season now.
Yes, it
Anybody
Yeah.
is.
who's watching this, it's the beginning of January in 2026. But I mean, sales is something, especially if you want to do advisory and not be
Oh,
tied to any seasonality in your firm.
yes.
Like there's every day, as you said, every hour is sales hour of a business. And so it's
Yeah.
important to keep this front and center as you both start a peak period and start thinking about
Yes.
how could you be turning some of these opportunities to connect with clients into sales opportunities and then be able to execute it effectively. That'd
Yep.
be awesome.
Yep.
All right,
And
cool.
here at the Abundant Accountant, we don't really just do theory. We really teach a system that helps firm owners. They've generated over $28 million from when they first started. If you look at
Mhm.
the base revenues versus the gains that they have in just a short amount of time with us, and you
Yeah.
don't need more clients. How do you do this? Like John, you were saying, more revenue from the same clients. How do you
Right.
Mhm.
upsell services? How do you do more advisory like Gaynor you were talking about? And thinking outside the box because now you have the brain space to feel that instead of being bogged down like you're banging your head against a brick wall.
Yeah. And your system works for any kind of firm, really.
Yeah,
Any,
bookkeeping,
yeah,
accounting, tax,
audit, all
um,
that.
audit. It doesn't matter if you're selling an accounting or tax or CFO advisory service. Yes. Have we had a few people come through that just do 100% tax prep? Yes, it works, but the enrollment conversation is more for those higher value services. If you're
Hmm.
charging 500 to 2 grand a month for bookkeeping and you're charging 3 to 5 grand for CFO advisory, or that's your dream to do that, or you're selling tax plans of 20 to $100,000 one-time tax plans. That's what the enrollment conversation's about. But we have helped some firms that are 100% tax prep make these shifts and changes, and then eventually they start selling advisory. They're just, if
Hmm.
you have 750, or I've had someone had 2,000 clients, we've got a lot of work to do just on that part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So
But
do you have any other questions, John?
No, I appreciate Michelle taking the time to chat with us today and learning more about your approach to the sales
yeah.
cycle. That's pretty
Well, I was
interesting.
going to say one other thing too. And Gaynor, I know we've talked about it, but I think the biggest challenge firm owners have to overcome, and AI is probably not going to help you unless you have a conversation with it, is mindset.
Hmm.
When we have the mindset that we have to take on anybody that comes our way, or we want to just continue to charge low fees and think in the future you can increase them, that's what creates the stress over time. And then that just
Hmm.
builds and builds and builds. And then we avoid raising fees, or we're scared to because, like, now we have a fear that we're going to lose all our clients. So when we change our mindset from that scarcity to a different approach, that's how you can break that cycle.
Yeah. And the mindset is across all of transformation for
Yes, it is. It's
firms,
the number
life,
one thing for
everything.
transformation is your mindset,
Yeah.
and here at the Abundant Accountant, we break that cycle and teach
Mm.
you how to set boundaries, how to raise prices, how to enroll the right clients at premium fees, how to get rid of the low value clients and how to fire clients in a way that actually feels good so you can stop wasting time on problems and really position yourself with the right type of firm that you want to create.
Oh, it sounds great. Sounds like
Mhm.
firm utopia right there.
It is
Very
firm
nice.
utopia. Yeah,
Okay.
so if anyone wants to talk to us, they can go to theabundantcall.com and schedule a time to chat.
Great.
As long as
Awesome.
you own a firm, we'll talk
Yeah.
to you. If it's a good fit, we can talk about how to implement what we talk about on our call. But no matter what, you can schedule a complimentary discovery call with us to lay out a roadmap of what you want your year to look like. What kind of firm, what kind of firm topia do you want to create? If you're sick of the way that you've been going for a while, then it's probably, the best thing to do is to work on the business for 1 hour.
That's
And
Great
awesome.
that's
advice.
what we do. But, and the only thing that hinders people is just not taking action. So if you
Yeah.
continue to do the same thing, you're just going to be behind the eight ball of all of your competition. But if
Yeah.
you want to make a change, right, one of the biggest things that the things that you can do is just schedule an appointment and see, oh, here's the gaps that I have in my firm. We'll go over where we see you have revenue gaps, where are you leaving money on
Mhm.
the table? Where could you raise your prices, but maybe you don't want to do it across the board, right? So you'll know exactly what the game plan is you need to execute, and then we can talk about if you want our help to execute it.
That's
Sometimes
awesome.
it's not a good fit, and at least you know what you need to do. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
sometimes, hey, we might work together. You never know.
Yeah. And I know for a fact that talking with Michelle is always time well spent. So
Oh, thanks, Gaynor.
that's
And
very
so,
true.
and with you too.
Yeah. And with John.
And with
So there
John.
we
Well,
go.
I've never had a one-on-one with John, but I've talked to
Yeah.
Gaynor many times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Great.
we'll
Well,
have
thanks for
some
sharing.
yeah, future conversation, hopefully with Michelle and John, and definitely we'll invite you back, Michelle, maybe at the end of the year so that
Okay.
we can see other success stories and maybe we
Yeah.
even have one of your success stories come join you so you
Sure.
can feed back to the
Anytime.
process. That would be awesome. All
Okay.
right, well, thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
Michelle.
Michelle.
Thanks
All
for
right,
having me, you guys.
you're
You bet.
welcome. All
Have a
right,
good day.
yep, take it easy. Thank you. Bye, everyone.